Welcome to the Tech Journey podcast. I'm your host, Vincent, and on this podcast, I interview people in tech. As always, this show is sponsored by the Consulting Launch Method, where I help experienced tech professionals build their own consulting business without spending years figuring out the business side alongside the day job. We've helped clients go from inception to first client in 90 days and six figures within a year. To learn more, connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message. On today's podcast, we have Deep Mathur, and Deep works at Mapp Digital, and there, he's a product manager, and he's focused around MarTech, mobile engagements, software development kits, data integration, and customer-facing product development. So, Deep, welcome on the show. I always ask this questions first, and I want to ask you this straight away. Looking back at your career, what's the decision or the project that you are most proud of, and why? What really made it stand out for you?
Well, thanks for having me on the podcast today, Vincent. Really appreciate it. Answering the question, there have been quite a few instances. My career journey hasn't been conventional or straight. In this journey, also had my own startup alongside my work, and I called it G10 Assist back in India. That taught me a lot of things. It taught me demand generation, it taught me customer engagement. It also taught me what is the difference between having an idea to taking that idea into reality and building something versus building something sustainable. Because I had to eventually close it due to operational issues. I was able to generate demand, but the supply side was a problem, which was, I don't consider that as a failure, but a great learning lesson for myself. Because as I said, it taught me sustainability versus just building something ground up. So that was a great learning lesson for me.
And you say it's unconventional, and so that you go back to your sort of startup days. What is so unconventional about it? Because now obviously you're in a product management role. So how did you make that transition, or what steps got you there?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, because I come from a background of technology and doing something hands-on. So I was a developer myself back in India. And then I moved to the UK, started working for Photobox as a marketing technology consultant. Put my hands on with the whole field of marketing technology, understood the customer well, of Photobox's customer. And then I was absorbed by Mapp as a solutions architect. Now with Mapp, in the solutions architect role, I had to dive a bit deeper into technology, understanding the customer better, not just one type of customer, not just one domain, but multiple domains, and as a problem solver. I was basically a sitting CTO, so to say, from the Mapp side for a customer that I was working along. I had to understand their problems, their use cases, and how the value can be added. Now, here's the most important learning of my life. Sometimes when we think technology is everything, I might be wrong, because it is the customer's problem and that problem solving aptitude, be it with technology or without technology, that at the end of the whole journey contributes to the most part. And this is where I started contributing to the product more, trying to solve, not trying to adjust what I have and solve the problem with what I have, but also contribute to making the product better itself. And then slowly I transitioned into the product management role from my solutions role at Mapp Digital itself. So now I am working as a product manager, solving the problems on a daily basis as I would, but just from the other perspective, from the customer's perspective in the product, rather than on the customer side, trying to solve the problem with whatever tools I have.
Okay. And and how long has that journey taken you so far?
I've been at Mapp for about 4.5 years now. And that transition has about taken about a year or something for me to happen. Because I have been the subject matter expert for the mobile push and channels domain, SDKs domain. And I was contributing heavily. So it made sense for the business to actually transition me into the role. And here's another learning from me.
Hmm.
I learned in this experience that it is not about the title that is given to you and then you start working on it. It is rather the ownership and the contribution that you can do from day one without even having the title. And then title would eventually come to you when it makes sense to the business.
Okay. So sounds great. That's a great lesson. I mean, it almost maybe sort of dovetails into my normal sort of next question, which is, if you were starting your tech career again tomorrow, knowing what you know now with all the changes in tech, right? The transitions in tech. I mean, I've seen loads of different technology changes. What is the one thing that you would do differently, or the one thing you would tell your younger self, as a bit of a lesson, if you will, to get there quicker?
I'm glad that you asked this question because I wish somebody could have told me when I was starting my career that don't be afraid of talking to the customers. Being customer centric is actually very, very good in this world of SaaS products. When you try to look from an engineering perspective, I come from that background and that mindset. Let me build something. And this is how a customer would use it. But is that even solving the problem? So being customer centric actually helped me. And if somebody told me this. So in my early careers, it wasn't easy for me to talk to the customers. This is something that I would have avoided throughout.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a great lesson. I think it's one of those things that people maybe feel a bit unnatural about, but actually you realize that customers are just people like you and I, right? And if you just have a conversation, you will actually learn quite a bit
Exactly.
from them.
Exactly.
And do you like a sort of an example where you've spoken to a customer that has sort of directly sort of influenced the direction or the developments that Mapp Digital has taken?
Sure. I mean, of Mapp, I have plenty of examples. But on the side, what I also do is in order to stay relevant in the industry and to not lose the touch of technology, yes, consumer-centric thing is important. But at the same time, being relevant and aware about what's going on in the technology is important. I work on my own projects via Workrush, which is where I develop products for my own clients. I've got an opportunity to work with Ministry of Defence UK, and I've worked with University of Bournemouth, University of Bristol in this whole journey. And that actually taught me the thought leadership, looking at the problem from the customer's perspective. And when you talk to these people, when you talk to the business owners who actually got an idea and who are trying to build something very unique, from their perspective, understanding what is the uniqueness, what is the value that they are trying to add to the world, what is the value that they are trying to get from this conversation, and how can you play a part in their journey of success? That I believe has really encouraged me to explore more in technological side and deliver up to the expectations. Not just deliver, but based on the experience, I was also able to suggest them best possible ways and future proofing ways. I work a lot on AI to an extent that I also released one of the open source standards. I created one of the standards called the emotional governance for AI, and you can find it on aiseals.org, which is the open standard that I wrote myself for the governance part of AI. And that tells me it is important to look at a business from all the aspects. One is the commercial, then the technological, then is the future, which most of the people miss to think, or they think about it at a very, very late stage. How is the future look like? And is what we are building future ready, future proof? And what's coming up next? Are we going to be in that race, or are we obsolete from the day one?
It sounds very exciting. And so you have your own sort of consulting business on the sides,
That's right.
with a number of clients in the UK, including serving like public sector, let's say, public sector, government sector as well. Fantastic. And I'd love to know more about that as well. Maybe on a slightly separate conversation, but as well, actually, let me ask you: when did you start that business? Because clearly you've been working in your day job at Mapp and other places, but did you just sort of start as along the side, and
Yes,
how's that been going?
so I had been a developer by heart, but development wasn't a part of my job when I started working. MarkTech is not a development heavy thing, and I didn't want to leave development. So back in 2021 is when I started working on Workrush, and I work alongside a couple of my other friends. We develop solutions, we get on calls with the customers, um, and we understand the problem and provide a solution for that. Sometimes it is technological, sometimes it's AI driven, sometimes it's just they wanted to have a second opinion from a thought leadership, from a technical perspective of how their business can work. In this whole journey, I've also worked with a couple of venture capitalists, building their tech products and giving them building a portal for them to assess other ideas, business ideas, um, and taking an opportunity for them to present to the entrepreneurs or the upcoming entrepreneurs to the world.
That's amazing. That's very exciting. So with that maybe context, and what does the next chapter of your career look like? Right? I mean, where do you see yourself going in the next 2, 3, 4, or maybe longer period of time? What does it look like for you? What's your ambition?
Well, being in the tech industry, if I say job, then I want to get into Google as a product manager at Google. That is what I have always hoped for. But keeping ambitions on the side and keeping pure passion, I want to build something which is very sustainable for the future. So having my own product, which is sustainable, usable, should start with the open source. And I'm working on a couple of ideas myself. And with this whole changing world, I want to just create a harness so AI doesn't take over, let's say, in other words. And there is a governance layer everywhere. And I laid the foundation with this AI Fields.org, the open source standard. And eventually, I am planning to also launch a couple of other open source standards. So there are checks and measures for the future softwares that are going to be built, both from the security as well as from the development perspective. There was one research from Anthropic that said with the Claude code, developers are getting more. How should I put it? Incognitive. I don't want to use the term lazy, but they 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 are losing their cognitive capability of understanding the code, reading through the code, uh, because the coding AI agents are becoming so good, right? But there has to be a human element to it, not just approve and reject when you're white coding.
Yeah.
Now that everybody can code, there are also loopholes that AI knows well, because if a product is AI coded, AI also knows the loopholes of those things. So just creating a guardrail harness, so the future looks pretty secure, stable, and sustainable for the humankind. This is what I'm trying to build.
And you so for you, it's about sustainable AI and I think responsible AI. Is that sort of what I'm gathering here?
Yes, it's a sustainable, secure software building that I am building around, that I'm currently building the foundations of. So a secure software building, a SaaS product, because they are calling it SaaS Eclipse, because AI can build so many things and so quickly. That's it. There are so many softwares out there now.
Yeah.
And there is a noise in the market. But with that noise also comes a lot of security challenges, security issues. Most of these products are vibe coded. AI has coded them, leaving all the loopholes that you can imagine a regular natural senior software engineer would have caught, or the compliances would have caught. But since these SaaS products are mostly started by a team of one or two non-engineer, just, product mindset people, and they've vibe coded the solutions, and it is out there. People are putting their personal details onto it just to try the product out, and turns out tomorrow the product got hacked because the basic authentication hashing wasn't put in place. AI wasn't informed about it. There were no predefined checks. There are no evals put in place. So I'm just trying to build a community of people and laying the right foundation of secure and safe SaaS product building, so software building, using the AI, because AI is inevitable.
Yeah, it is inevitable. And I guess yes, sometimes if you don't know what to ask AI to do, then it will have the output will not be as good as it could be, right? Sure. So my final question then, as we're on this sort of thought process, but why are you so passionate about this part of AI and creating standards, open source standards and things like that?
From the early days, when AI came in at Mapp, I had been trying to build bots and um, a meaningful operation of AI apart from bots. So it is far more than just chat-based interface or a voice-based interface. I want AI to actually work for a betterment in efficiency increase. Uh, when AI does things for you, which Claude client like Claude Cowork does that for you, right? But then are we then restricted to a monopolized environment of Claude Code or OpenAI's ChatGPT? What else? What are the alternate options to be have in the market using the same capabilities to the um, same level of power that these models bring? This is where my passion grows. That it should be decentralized and not monopolized, because capitalism is winning the world. But we can always put measures in place to check that. And that's where the whole motivation comes in.
Love that. Well, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, Deep?
I am available on LinkedIn. Deepankar Mathur 01 is where LinkedIn puts me on. And my email ID is also there, deepankarmathur01@gmail.com is my email ID. So love to hear it from anyone who's interested in getting in touch.
That's okay. Well, Deep, thank you so much. Amazing. It's recommended everyone have a look at what you have to offer here. And I appreciate you being on the podcast today. Really appreciate it. As a reminder to everyone listening, this show is sponsored by the Consulting Launch Method, where I help experienced professionals build their own consulting business alongside their day job without spending years figuring out the business side. We've helped clients go from first idea to first clients to within 90 days and into six figures within a year. To learn more, connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message. Thank you, Deep.
Thanks, Vincent.
Until the next episode. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.